What's going on, guys? It's Mirwin. Today we're going to deconstruct my song title track. So if you guys haven't watched the YouTube channel, we have our series Deconstructed, inspired by Genius, where I show you guys how I made the beat behind all the music I make. Today we're going to be doing my song title track off of my new album, Strangers in the Dark. I almost said my last album's title. So if you guys haven't listened to this song yet, or the album Strangers in the Dark, definitely encourage you guys to check that out. We got a link in the description. You don't have to watch it, listen to it before watching the rest of the video, but definitely encourage you to. That being said, we're just going to get started here. So if you watched the past video, you know that when we got a beat change, we're going to split the video up. So this video will be split into two parts here. So we're just going to be talking about the first part of this beat. So for this song, again, if you've watched any of the past videos, you've heard me talk about how this record was really inspired by, the classic hip-hop sound, sampling, chopping up a lot of the artists I look up to, Kendrick, Kanye, all those people. So that being said, all the songs in this album were sampled using songs from TRYIN. So the sample we used for this song here, I'm gonna actually have to pull up the original file here. This one is, the original song is called Desireless/Speechless. And it's by Krister Bohine, long name here. You can see it on the screen. So the original song I sampled is called Desireless/Speechless, if I remember correctly. So it's a really long song. This is a really interesting beat. I talk about this song a little bit in the Dissect video. Really interesting beat because it really turned out completely different kind of than how I was originally intending it to. I heard this sample. There was a section of it I really liked, and I thought it was really cool, and I thought it was just going to be one of those situations where, I have that section, loop it, throw drums on it, bass, boom, it's a wrap, it's done. But as I tried to do that, it really just wasn't fitting together how I wanted to, so I just ended up, I really like the sample. I ended up just trying a bunch of different things. Ended up just trying a bunch of different things, and then, eventually we landed on this beat, and, in a completely different direction spot than, what I intended. But, something I really loved about the original sample was just kind of, it had a bunch of really cool, like, drums in the background, some percussion. The piano groove was really nice with the vocals. I had, like, this really nice, like, kind of choir vocal in it, which is really cool. That section that I actually wanted to build, the whole beat around, and end up using for the outro of this song, which we'll talk about in the second part to this video. But that being said, we'll play you guys the sample here, and I'll kind of talk about my process for that. So this is the sample that is the foundation for most of this song here. So I'll play the sample. So what I ended up doing for this sample, which, again, was not what I had in mind at all, we ended up taking that song, I put it in my sampler and just tried chopping it. Kind of, a lot of times when I'm trying something and it doesn't work, I end up trying to do the opposite of what I was trying to do just to see if that works. So, before I was kind of going into it like, all right, I'm going to just find a section and loop it. So now I'm like, all right, I'm going to try and chop it. So what I ended up doing here, you kind of see the original ones up here where, I bounced it out before I bounced it out. So what I ended up doing here is I got a bunch of different sections that I really liked, and I reversed them. So effect or, a technique I don't use a lot in my beats, and, to be honest, I probably should try. I want to try and use more just because I feel like it isn't used a lot in sampling. But so I chopped it, and then I reversed each chop. And then we also, you see here on the processing, I added a bunch of reverb here as well. So all that together just creates a really unique sample chop that I think is like really cool, but also very different. I'm not going to play the original, but, kind of looking at these first two are like piano hits from the song, and they're reversed. And then we got these two little vocal runs, and that's basically the foundation. So that's the foundation of this song, even for the second half. Also, that's kind of the foundation of the sample. So moving on to the drums here. So, like I said, kind of this song took a different direction as I was making it than what I intended. For drums, I kind of didn't really intend to do like the dance drums on it, but I think just kind of how, I felt the sample, the direction the sample was taking me, that's kind of where it went. So we'll play you guys the drums here. First, we're going to start with this drum break. Drum breaks, classic, kind of technique for hip hop, throwing a drum break on a beat. So I had this drum break, threw it in here, and I thought it had some really cool elements in it. So I'll play you guys this drum break. So, really cool drum break there. I thought I had some really cool, snare rolls in there, had some nice elements, and just kind of, overall added a little bit more, filled out the frequencies for the drums, made them feel a little more fuller, and then, also just added some more interesting elements there. So we got that. Next we'll play this hi-hat here, so all dry here, no processing. So it's pretty straightforward here. Also, this whole album was mixed and mastered by my boy Shane Lance. Make sure to show him some love in the comments. Some of the stems might sound a little different than the original just because of that, but shout out to him, killed it for me on every song here. Moving on, we got some more hi-hats here, so a little bit, a little slower here. These, we put some flanger on them. Just to add a little more different dimension to the hi-hats and also kind of to separate them from the rest of them. You see here, we basically have 3 hi-hats going in this beat, so just to make them a little more unique. And we also did some velocity changes on them just to, again, just keep them more natural, feel more organic, especially with the drums this style, making it feel like it's more like being played as opposed to like a, drum machine. So we'll play you guys those hi-hats. So those are the hi-hats there. And now we got the last hi-hat here. So these, look a little bit faster. We also mess with the velocities on them. And I'll play you guys those. So that's the third hi-hat here. And next we're going to play you guys the snare. And then we also got this little perk here. So, looking at the MIDI here, I just kind of layered them. And then, we create like kind of this own unique snare sound. I like layering my drums a lot, just creating your own unique sounds that not everyone else has. So we didn't really do anything for processing, but we'll play you guys those together. So something that I really like about this specific combination for the snare here in this perk is I feel like it gets this really unique kind of middle ground between a clap and a snare, which I always think is really interesting. It's just kind of its own unique sound. Kind of probably leans more towards the clap side, but it's got some nice kind of crunchiness, distortion to it, which I thought was cool. And then last part here is we got the kick, and we just got an EQ on it. Again, kind of going with more of those dance house style drums. We just got, pounding 4 the floor. We'll play you guys that kick. And that is basically it for the drums for this beat. Like I said, the drums for this are very straightforward, pretty simple, especially for the first half. The last 2 elements here that we got are we also have these 2 perks, or technically it is 2, but I chopped it up a little bit. So we have these 2 perks here. We got a little magma and an EQ and a reverb and an EQ on both of them. I just threw them on there. As I was making the beat, I got the drums down, I got the bass down. I felt like, the beat was good, but I felt like it just needed something extra just to mix it up a little bit before I ever even, got to doing that beat change at the end. So I did this in here. I felt like it just kind of fit the, the chop a little bit. And, also just kind of the voice in this vocal sample, I think also complemented the sample really well. So I just kind of came up with this sample chop, I guess, of this little vocal vox. And then, it just kind of created its own like percussion groove with the drums. Hey, yo, 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 hey, yo. And then we also have the bass here, and then that will be it for this first half. So what we got here is we got the one shot of a Juno bass, which is like a classic synth keyboard. We got EQ and distortion on it, and then we also have a sub underneath it. EQ and distortion, we just, mix those together so they sound like one bass sound. And we also added this plugin in here, which I've just started using. This was probably, I think, the first beat I used this plugin for, but got Shaper Box. So what that does, especially with this, the style of drums and, the kick being so prominent, we added Shaper Box onto the bass just to carve out some more frequency for the kicks, so that the kick and the bass aren't competing too much with each other. So I'll play you guys the bass here. that is basically all the elements for this part of the beat. Like I said, we're going to split this video up into 2 parts since we got the beat change at the end here. If you guys haven't listened to this song or my album Strangers in the Dark, definitely encourage you guys to go check that out. We got a link in the description. It means a lot to me if you listen to it. I appreciate anyone who listens to my music. Like I said, stay tuned for part 2 where I show you guys how I made the second half of this beat. That's it for this episode of Deconstructed today, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. Peace.